Hi, this is Grace Pamela, Summerana.com, and today I'm so excited to show you how to install and use your Photoshop overlays. So right here I am in Photoshop CC, and I'm going to show you the different ways that you can apply doing it manually or by using actions, and also how to use them and explaining a quick overview on the layer mask and all kinds of fun stuff and how to edit them. So overlays are fun because they can add a completely different look to your image. They can add leaves, snow, petals, texture to your images. They can add light and flares and sky overlays, all kinds of really unique stuff that will really add a lot of whimsy to your images. So the first way that I'm going to show you how to apply it, there's two different ways. One, you can do it manually by going to File, and then you can go to Open, and that will take you to a folder on your computer where you can find your overlays and just select the overlay that you want to open and select Open. And then you can drag that layer over. I'm going to show you really quick. So you can go to your Open, it'll take you to your folder on your computer, and then you can select an overlay, and you might have to search your computer. It might be on your external hard drive or your downloads, wherever you unzipped them and have them placed on your computer. That's where your overlays will be. Then you'll be able to select an overlay and select Open, and it will open as a new image because it is a PNG image. Then you can take it down and drag it over to your new image. Now the overlays, some overlays will have no background and some of them will have a black one like this. What you do for the ones that have black is you change the blending mode. So you go from normal to screen, usually if it has black on it. Then you can manually go ahead and go to Edit and Free Transform, and you can right click and you can flip it and you can move it around. Whatever you think is best. You can hold the Shift or Command key down on your keyboard and drag it so it's bigger or smaller. You can also select this link right here, and that will hold it for you. It will maintain the perspective so it doesn't get distorted, because otherwise, unless you want it distorted, you can do that too. But otherwise, you see it gets stretched, it gets smaller, and it gets stretched out. So it's useful to know the different ways that you can apply your overlays, and also the different ways that you can edit your overlays. So that's just a really quick example showing you how to upload it manually. If you don't want the overlay, you can select this little eye here and it will hide it, and you can go ahead and delete it if you don't like it. Another way that you can upload your overlays is to open your action player that comes with the overlay collection from, if you downloaded them from Summerana. It usually comes with an easy applicator action. So that way it does most of that hard work for you. All you do after you've installed your Photoshop actions is you go to Apply, Flare Overlay, or Snow, or Leaf, or whatever overlay you're trying to apply. Select OK, select your flare, and select Place. Here you can flip horizontally or do whatever you want, or later on you can go down and edit it more with your action player. So I'm doing the same thing here. I'm holding the Shift key down on my keyboard, and I'm just resizing it so it's a little bigger. And then I'm going to select the check mark, and then the action does the rest for you. Then you can go ahead and move it around some more if you want. Now, it's important to know how to erase parts of it. You don't want to just grab your eraser tool and start erasing, because you'll never be able to get it back, and then you have to start all over if you decide you want it back. So a lossless way to erase, but it's not really erasing, is to use a layer mask. Now, if you're using the actions, it applies it automatically for you, a layer mask. So I'm going to go ahead and delete it to show you how to do it manually if you need to. So let's say you dragged your overlay over and you're not using your actions, then all you would do is go down to this little layer mask button right down here where it says add layer mask, and click it. Then you'll see it has a white layer mask, so then you'll need a soft round and hardness at 0 brush, and that brush will need to be black. Black will conceal and white will reveal. So now you see it's erasing, from our image here. But if you ever want it back, you can switch back to white to bring it back a little bit. And you can do that as long as you have your layers saved. Pretty cool stuff. So one thing that I want to show you, if your overlay isn't bright enough or intense enough, like if you're a snow or whatever overlay you're using, you can right click and go to duplicate layer. Select OK, and you see it makes it brighter and it just doubles the intensity of that. And you can also another thing you can do is apply another overlay. For some instances it might work, but since this one we resized it and did a bunch of stuff, it might not work so well. So you can just right click and duplicate it. And you can also do it several times. You don't have to just do it once or whatever. Okay, so now you know how to apply your overlays. Now I'm going to show you some of the different ways that you can edit them. So I already kind of went into it a little bit by showing you can duplicate the intensity. Also, you can go up to opacity and you can adjust the opacity of that layer and how much you want it to show. 100% is showing it all the way, and 0% is erased. It's not there anymore. And you can adjust the opacity of each layer. Once you have it, you can also merge this down, select apply, and now you just have it on one layer. So that way it's a little easier to edit. Your overlay action player will come with different actions that you can use to further edit your overlays. If you use these, make sure like the flare editor ones are specific for the flare only, and there will be specific ones for snow, leaves, whatever collection you're using. So if you are using these, just make sure you click the actual flare overlay layer, because if you click down here, it will apply that that action to here. So you want to make sure you actually have the overlay you want to change here. So you can add more color, you can simmer it down a bit, so you can see the different effects that it applies. And again, you can change the opacity of how you want that. Okay, so I'm done with the flare. Now I'm going to show you the different effects for the different things that you can do to edit your other overlays. So for example, I'm going to show you with this leaf overlay, something you might want to do is instead of erasing, so you want to add your layer mask. So instead of just erasing something off of someone, you might want to move it. So let's say you like this leaf here, but you want to move it. So what you would do in that case is you click your overlay, not your layer mask, but your actual overlay. You grab your lasso tool and you select around that object, and then you can right click and select layer via cut, and then you have it on its own separate layer. Another thing, and then you can move that, of course. So you can move it over. Another way you can do it if you don't plan on further editing that leaf is same thing, lasso. Grab your lasso, and then you can actually just go down, right click and select free transform. And then you can move it and it'll still remain on this layer. So you can see now it's still part of that layer. So that way you don't have a bunch of different layers that you have to work on, but each serves its own purpose. You might want to later do that. And I'm actually going to show you why you might want to have it on a separate layer. So I'm going to grab my lasso tool. I'm going to do the same thing, layer via cut. I'm going to move it. Now, why might I want this on a separate layer? It might be interesting to have, if you want to blur parts of your overlay, then that might be a great way to do it. Because if you add blurring to this, the whole layer is going to get blurred. So if you only want to blur certain parts of your overlay, then you can go click layer via cut, and then you can blur. I'm just going to use this blurring one right here, just for showing you an example. And then you can see it's blurred and it's only applied to that overlay. So that's that's one way it might be useful to cut instead of just free transforming. So I'm gonna go ahead and now show you with a snow overlay. Now you want to make sure that your overlay is not really in spots on your subject where it's really distracting. You want it realistic, but you also don't want it to be really distracting. So you might want to erase some parts of it off of your subject. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to show you here, you can see we can duplicate and we can intensify that snow and lower the opacity. And you can also play with your resize, rotate. So another thing that I like to do to change up your look a little bit, so now I have 2 of them and it changes the intensity. But what if I wanted to add a different variety to my look here? So what I can do is I can flip it and toss it around, and so that way it adds what it looks like more snow and makes it more customizable with all of your overlays. And you can also change the perspective if you want it to look a little different. This is especially important for like sky overlays. So you can see you can change the perspective here. I'm just holding the Shift to Command key on my keyboard and I'm dragging it out. And it's not really useful for snow, but it's definitely useful to know for other overlays. Okay, so I think I covered pretty much everything. It's really interesting to see the different effects that you can do and all the different ways that you can edit those effects. And if you have any questions at all, we have a bunch of video tutorials for each specific product, so you won't really need to question how it applies for different ones. Like the sky overlays, you might be wondering, well, how do I do it for the sky? There's individual videos for each and every different overlay collection, so you don't need to worry about that. And also, you can email us at any time for one-on-one help at support@summerana.com. So if you have any questions, just let me know. And that is how you apply and use your overlays. Thank you so much for watching.